do my weekly chapter readings, and let me do this here really quickly, because I am doing something a little bit different today. If you see what's scrolling at the bottom, I have two extra print copies of the latest installment of my series, which is book 4, The Song of the Remnant. I have two extra copies, about 785 pages in total. And what I want to do is I want to give away one book for the next 2 weeks. And so on the bottom of the screen, as you see scrolling, is my email address. I have two of them, and you can email me to either one. And just put in the subject line something like a free book drawing. That way I'm sure to, not mark it as spam or anything. And what I want to do is Sunday, I will draw one name, one person, and then I will email the winner and get the address so that I can mail this to you. And of course, please, it has to be a U.S. address, okay? So this is one of the books that I'm going to give away completely free. And I'm going to do that on Sunday. So if you are wanting to check out the books, of course, now this is book 4 that I'm giving away. And so you might be kind of lost if you start right into book 4, but you haven't read books 1, 2, and 3. But no worries. I got you guys covered on that too. It's not time for the free downloads for the ebook. I'm only allowed a few days every month for that. And so that won't be coming around until like around the 1st of May. And of course, I'm going to have book 5 done and out. I'm just finishing the very few back pages. The book is done. All the chapters are done for book 5, The Song of Reckoning. But what I typically do for that is for like 1 to 2 days, I make the ebook version of all of my books absolutely free. You just go to the Amazon links and you download them. Now, the other ways that you can kind of like read my books for free, the ebook versions, is if you already read books on Amazon and you're part of the KDP Select, and I'm not sure, what the membership is on that, but you pay like a monthly free, and it's like a library from my understanding, and you can like borrow my book, and I've had several people do that. And then you can read all of the books for free. And I'm not sure if they, have a time limit, that you have to read a book like within 30 days. I mean, it might be similar to like, when you go to your public library, you have so many weeks before you have to like turn your books in. So I'm going to check into that to get more information. But that's available. You just pay, your whatever the monthly fee is for that, and then you can read all of my books that way. Yeah, that's what I've got going on. And something new, if you look at the top of the screen, you're going to see a QR code. If you do your phone with that, it's going to take you to my author page over on Amazon, and you will be able to see all 4 of my books in this series. Plus, you will be able to see my children's book that is published, Ducks, Dragons, and Wonders of the Deep, and then my little short story, Return to Zion's Haven. Those are all on my author page, and they're all part of the KDP Select program. I don't have my books anywhere else but Amazon, at least at this point in time. That might change, down the road as I do more publishing. But for now, everything is exclusively just only over on Amazon. All right, I see Sister Celine. She's messaging in the live chat. How are you doing, sister? Nice to see you. I haven't seen you in a long time. And I haven't been doing as many streams as I'd like to. Every week I try to do one or two chapters from book one. And then I also try to do my my Romans Bible study, and we'll see how things go. I might come back and do the next chapter reading after I'm done with this. I've got like a really bad headache, and I took some like naproxen, so we'll see how I feel after I'm done reading the chapters. But let me show you. Here is the cover for book one, Song of the Dragon, the Songs of the First Dawn. And the series name is called The Chronicles of Elyndor. And then if you've been, reading along with me or, listening, over these last couple of months, you've seen the in-world map. And so this is the map that you'll find in book one. This is Elyndor, the Garden of Everlight. So you've got Rocky Mire, which is the realm of the trolls. You have Mountain Vale, which is the realm of the dragons. You've got the Tree of Everlight there. Glimmerwood, you have the realm of the satyrs. And Hollow Peak, you have the realm of the unicorns. Okay, and then let me show you really quick. Here is what book two looks like. Song of the Dragon, the Song Unbroken. And then here's the world map that you'll find in book two. And of course, in this series is called the Shadowlands, and you don't really get a really good glimpse of the Shadowlands until further along in book two, and then also you get more along in it in book three, which is the Song Remains. That's when humans are introduced into my story. And then here is the world map of kind of like what some of the Shadowlands contains and looks like. And then here's the book that I'm giving away free, the print copy. This is the latest release. It's book four, The Song of the Remnant. And this is a darker book. This was really hard for me to write. It was very uncomfortable. But I'm glad I did it because the Lord revealed a lot of things to me while writing this book. And then, of course, here is the world map that you will find in book four. So we're back to we're going to go back to book one, the Songs of the First Dawn, and here's the opening image. But what I want to do is, let me put the QR code up at the top of the screen there. And then let me put this caption there. So anybody that starts coming in while I'm reading the chapter, you'll be able to get the drawing information. You'll be able to see my email addresses there. And so all you have to do, just email me if you want to be entered to receive book four, the print version. I'm going to do that drawing on Sunday. And then next week, when I have the address of the winner, then I will be sending that in the mail to one lucky person. And next week I would like to do the drawing for the second print version. So, okay, let me go over here to the book. Okay, so Each chapter starts with a KJV scripture verse. So for chapter 13, the verse is from Psalm 28:3. Draw me not away with the wicked and with the workers of iniquity, which speak peace to their neighbors, but mischief is in their hearts. Okay, so chapter 13, between two shadows. There are those who walk in the light and those who crawl in the dark, but the most dangerous are they who learn to walk in both, carrying shadow in their breath and borrowed light on their scales. From the Songs of the First Dawn. The tunnels had been carved long before a dragon named Raymond ever stepped foot in Mountain Vale. Drummond stood deep within the abyss, the shadows trembling around him as he inspected the widening stone passage that wound upward like a buried serpent. Torches made of molten rock flickered in the scones, crude dragon fire imitations crafted by trembling hands of trolls and bent-back satyrs. The air smelled of sweat, smoke, and centuries of labor. This hidden artery tying the abyss to the outer skirts of Mountain Vale was his triumph. He had begun shaping it the same season Sharia first received the song, when the heavens had glowed bright enough to blind any creature in shadow. While the dragons rejoiced, Drummond had begun to dig. For seasons since, slaves carved the stone day and night under his command. Unicorns had been forced to use their light to fuse the walls. Satyrs had steadied the crumbling edges. Trolls had hauled the rubble. Every creature pressed into labor against its will. And now, at last, the final stretch was complete. A tunnel to the realm of the dragons. In Mountain Vale above, dawn spilled over the peaks as Raymond approached Daniel and Quinn. His scales gleamed with false humility, wings kept low, posture differential in every way Daniel found disarming. My king, he began quietly, I come with a humble request. Daniel lifted his head. Speak, Raymond. There is a concern regarding my dwelling, Raymond gestured toward the middle cliffs. The fissure I told Quinn about, it spreads. I fear disturbing other dragons or endangering the younglings who practice nearby. Cameron frowned. Where would you move? Raymond lowered his gaze. I would ask for a place at the far edge of the lower ridge. A cavern untouched. No dragon has claimed it. I would rather inconvenience myself than risk crowding any dragon's territory. Thoughtful, considerate, appealing to Daniel's nature. Daniel nodded, impressed by the restraint. If the cavern is unused, then take it. You impose on no one. Raymond bowed deeply. Your generosity humbles me. He turned away with measured grace, never revealing that the cavern he requested was one Drummond had hollowed for decades, its back wall opening into the secret passage only he could enter without fear. Below the earth, the disguise cracked again. In the abyss that night, Drummond gripped the sides of a molten cauldron as the potion rippled with sickly green fire. His previous brew had failed to hold the dragon shape longer than a day. Now he poured crushed obsidian, powdered bone, and a thread of unicorn light stolen by force. The mixture hissed, collapsed, then reignited. A smile twisted across his distorted face. Yes, this will hold. Longer, stronger. Pog and Draco watched in tense silence. Room trembled, remembering too well the sound of Drummond's skin breaking during the last transformation. This brew, Drummond snarled, will give me the dragon shape for 3 days without cracking. Enough time to win Daniel's trust. enough time to plant the seed of doubt among his guard. He dipped a claw into the bubbling mixture, then let it harden to a smooth black sheen. Perfect, he whispered. Almost. On a side table lay another cauldron, smaller, cooler, filled with pale violet liquid whose surface did not reflect light. Drummond approached it with reverence. This one, he murmured, is for her. Wintella's name did not pass his lips. Only Sharia mattered. He stirred the brew with the bone of a banished creature. The potion quivered with a glistening, unnatural shimmer. It will not kill her, he said softly. Yeshariel denies me that pleasure. But it will twist her beauty into something Mountain Vale has never seen, and the law is clear. If such an affliction refuses healing, she will be banished. Room whispered, Master, if Yeshariel sees, I do nothing Yeshariel has forbidden, Drummond hissed. She will drink it by another's claw. The law will banish her, not I. The trolls exchanged uneasy glances. Back on the surface, days passed. Raymond's presence in the guard became normal, routine. He trained beside Cameron, matched Quinn's discipline, spoke with respectful humility, corrected younglings gently, and worked with Daniel without resentment. He played the part flawlessly. Dragons trusted what they could see. They had never been taught to fear what they could not. Wintella grew close to him, confiding small insecurities at first, then deeper sorrows, jealousies she had never spoken aloud. Raymond listened with patient tilts of the head and soft, understanding murmurs. And every word she whispered fed him more knowledge, more advantage, and more importantly, he gained Daniel's trust. Drummond stood in the center of the abyss chamber later that night, trolls kneeling. Tomorrow, he said, you strike. Room's breath caught. Already? Yes, his trust in Raymond grows, but it must deepen. You will wound him. He pointed at Room. You will distract him. His claw shifted to Pog. And you, he growled at Draco, will aim for the kill, but miss. Draco blinked. Miss? Drummond smiled slowly, because Raymond will save him. A hero forged by a villain's blade. Daniel walked the lower ravine alone the next morning, inspecting the fractured stone where a recent tremor had split the cliff wall. Quinn had gone ahead to scout. Cameron remained behind with the younglings. He sensed the danger only a heartbeat before it happened. A deafening roar exploded from the shadows. Then 3 trolls surged from the darkness with brutal force, not merely rushing him, but flying at him as if launched. Draco hit first, slamming Daniel against the stone with enough power to crack the wall behind him. Pain ripped across Daniel's ribs. Pog lunged low, claws hooking Daniel's hind leg, dragging him toward the ravine's edge. Room came last, shrieking wildly, swiping at Daniel's wings to tear the membranes. Daniel roared, flames bursting from his throat, but Pog's yank sent him sliding. His claws scraped stone. One slipped entirely. He fell. Draco lunged downward after him, claws outstretched, ready to drive the final blow mid-fall. And then a black dragon dropped from the sky like a falling star. Raymond struck Draco so violently the sound cracked across the ravine like thunder. The blow tore Draco off course and slammed him into the rock wall. But momentum carried Raymond down with Daniel, falling, tumbling, wings tangled, claws scraping desperately for hold. Raymond seized Daniel's foreleg. heaving with everything he had, wings beating so fiercely the veins strained purple against the membrane. The two dragons crashed into a narrow ledge. The impact shattered stone. Daniel felt a stab of agony as his left wing struck the wall, sharp, hot pain blooming across the bone. Pog leapt down after them, landing with bone-rattling force. He swung a boulder-sized fist toward Daniel's skull. Raymond moved first. He threw himself between Pog and the king, taking the blow full in the chest. The crack echoed sickeningly. Raymond's ribs buckled under the impact, and blood spilled darkly between his scales, but he stayed standing. Daniel staggered to his feet, but Draco returned with a snarl, ripping across Daniel's shoulder, tearing through scale and flesh. Daniel roared in pain, flames bursting blindly toward the attacker. Raymond slammed Draco aside again, claws shredding the troll's forearm. Draco howled, retreating only to be replaced by Pog's second charge. The two trolls rushed them at once. Raymond shoved Daniel sideways, shielding him again, this time taking Pog's strike across his neck. The blow drove Raymond to his knees. Hot blood splattered the stone. He still rose. With a roar ripped from what remained of his lungs, Raymond unleashed a blast of shadow-tinged fire straight into the ravine floor. The explosion rocked the stone platform, sending Pog stumbling backward. Draco, wounded and frightened, hissed and retreated into the shadows, dragging Room with him. The ambush collapsed. Silence fell as dust drifted through the ravine like ash. Daniel staggered upright, bleeding from the shoulder, wings trembling. Raymond swayed once, nearly fell, but locked his stance. "Are you hurt, my king?" His voice was ragged, a whispering rasp of pain. Daniel stared at him, breath tight, heart pounding. Raymond's scales were torn open along his ribs. One wing hung limp, and blood pooled beneath his claws. This was no staged act. This was sacrifice. Daniel's voice broke. "You nearly died saving me." Raymond bowed his head weakly. "Then I have served my purpose." Exactly the moment Drummond designed, exactly the trust he intended to win. Quinn and Cameron arrived moments later, though arrived was too soft a word. They plunged into the ravine, wings flaring, eyes wide with terror. Sharia and Wintella were with them. The moment Sharia saw Daniel's torn shoulder, the blood pooling beneath him, she ran to him with a cry that cracked the air. Her wings trembled as she pressed her forehead to his, checking breath, pulse, heat. "Daniel, Daniel, stay with me," she whispered, voice breaking in a way she never let others hear. Wintella, by contrast, froze as her eyes fell on Raymond. The black dragon swayed, barely upright, his ribs crushed, one wing torn, dark blood matting the stone beneath him. He collapsed to his knees, breath hitching sharply. Wintella gasped, a sound not of vanity or jealousy, but raw, visceral shock. He saved him," she whispered. "He nearly died saving him." Raymond tried to rise again, stubbornly, refusing to show weakness. His legs buckled. Wintella moved first, faster than anyone expected. She pressed her shoulder under his, lifting him as though it were instinct, hers, not his. "Lean on me," she said softly. "Please, just lean on me." Raymond's response was a ragged exhale, but he obeyed. Sharia, glancing up briefly from Daniel, saw it happen the moment Wintella broke. Her rival's bravado vanished. Her longing, her loneliness, her hunger for worth, all of it bound itself to Raymond right there in the dust. Cameron looked from Daniel's wounds to Raymond's shredded body. Quinn did the same. And for the first time since Raymond had appeared in Mountain Vale, neither had a question left in their minds. No deceiver takes wounds like these. No spy offers blood for a king's life. Daniel groaned, shifting, wincing sharply as Sharia helped him stand. Easy, she murmured. I've got you. Raymond sagged again, and Wintella braced harder beneath him, posture trembling with fierce devotion. We need to get both of them to their lairs, Quinn said, voice tight with concern. Wintella whispered, looking at Raymond with a softness that startled even herself. He should rest in his new dwelling. I will stay with him. Her voice broke on the word stay. Raymond, barely conscious, gave the smallest nod, playing the part perfectly. Sharia met Wintella's eyes just long enough to understand exactly what had changed between them. Just a second, I gotta let my cat out. Come on. And without resentment, without rivalry, she simply said, then help him. 2 dragons guided Daniel toward his lair. Sharia holding him steady, Quinn hovering protectively at his other side. 2 others led Raymond away, Cameron supporting from behind, but it was Wintella who refused to let go. Her shoulders set firmly beneath his, her wings sheltering him from the wind. At Daniel's threshold, he paused, breath unsteady, eyes drifting back toward the path where Raymond disappeared into the upper cliffs. Quinn, he said quietly, tell him when he wakes, his trial period is over. He swallowed, breath tight with pain and conviction. He has earned his place among my guard. Quinn bowed. I will tell him myself. No laughter echoed in the abyss that day. No shadow reveled. For Drummond was still bleeding on the stone in Raymond's body, and every groan of pain was part of the mask he had chosen to wear. But as Wintella pressed her wing protectively around him and guided him into the safety of his private lair, a faint curl touched the corner of his mouth. Pain could be endured, bones could be broken, but this trust he had just won would serve him far longer than any potion. Okay, and then here is the ending image for chapter 13. Give me a second, I need to get a drink. Alrighty. So now for chapter 14, here is put the QR code up there, and then also this about the free book giveaway. All right, so now we are ready to go to chapter 14, and the KJV verses from Psalm 41 and 2. I waited patiently for the Lord, and he inclined unto me and heard my cry. He brought me up also out of an horrible pit, out of the miry clay, and set my feet upon a rock, and established my goings. All right, chapter 14, Echoes in Hollow Stone. Those who wander far from the song may forget the light, but the garden remembers every cry beneath its weight. From the songs of the first dawn. The tunnels near the mountain's heart were never silent. They creaked and sighed with the weight of ages, with the heat of molten veins far below, with the grinding shift of stone that remembered what it had been before Drummond carved his will through it. Even when no creature spoke, the walls muttered in low, restless groans like an old wound that had never properly healed. Pog, Room, and Draco waited in one such chamber, just below the fissure that led toward Mountain Vale. Drummond had already gone. He had drunk the potion, let the dragon shape wrap around him like stolen light, and climbed through the upper shaft to emerge as Raymond beneath the open sky. He had left his orders behind. Remember, Drummond had murmured, claws pressed against the stone so that the whole tunnel vibrated with his voice. You will strike the king. You will make it real. No staged foolishness. He must believe you mean it. Room had swallowed hard, but not to kill him. A slow smile had twisted across Drummond's ruined face. Wound him, he said. Bleed him. Let him feel the teeth of the abyss, but he must live long enough to be saved, long enough to owe me. Then he had turned his burning eyes on Pog and Draco. And if you hold back so much that your attack looks false, he whispered, I will know. The memory of that gaze still burned in Pog's mind as he stared at the tunnel ceiling now. Room paced near the chamber mouth, tripping every third step on the same rock. He cursed it under his breath, then stepped over it, then forgot it and stumbled again. Draco leaned against the wall, arms folded, muscles knotted beneath stone gray skin. Why does he need us at all? Room burst out suddenly. He's strong. He's clever. He lies better than any creature alive. Why send us? Because the king trusts dragons, Draco said flatly, not trolls. Seeing trolls in his ravine will make the danger real. And make Raymond look like a savior when he comes, Pog added quietly. The word savior tasted like ash in his mouth. A savior who broke them every time they faltered, a savior whose chains sank deeper than iron. For a long moment, none of them spoke. Then Draco said very softly, we don't have to do only what he said. Room stopped pacing. What? Pog's head lifted heavy and wary. Draco's jaw flexed. He will come as Raymond. He will throw himself between us and the king. That is the plan. Yes, Pog said. He wants us to look fierce but not kill Daniel, Draco went on. He wants us to strike hard enough to make the rescue convincing. But while we obey, he hesitated, then forced the words out. While we obey, we can strike harder at him. Room stared. At Raymond? At Drummond, Draco said, inside the dragon shape. The thought hung between them like a dropped stone that had not yet hit the floor. Pog's stomach clenched. You're saying we try to kill him? Draco met his eyes. You brought us here, Pog. You know what he will do if we spend the rest of our lives under his claws. Pog flinched as if struck. I know, he whispered. I know too well. Room's voice shook. We're not killers. We weren't made for this. We weren't made for chains either, Draco replied. Room's breath came in short, ragged bursts. We could run, he said desperately. Hide in the tunnels, slip past the imps. And when he finds us, Draco asked, because he will. The abyss is his, the tunnels are his, our lives are his. He lowered his voice further. Unless they're not. Pog closed his eyes. Killing was not in the stories they had been told as young trolls. Stories of molten rivers and stone keepers in Rocky Mire, of working beside dragons in Mountain Vale, unicorns along the bright slopes of Hollow Peak, and the satyrs who danced through Glimmerwood. Those tales had carried warmth and purpose, a life woven into the song itself, not blood. But those days were long gone. buried under seasons of fear and screams echoing in the dark. We strike the king, Pog said at last, voice hollow, as he ordered, enough that no one can doubt it. And when Raymond steps between us and Daniel, Draco murmured, we strike harder, Pog finished. Hard enough that Drummond might not rise again. Room shivered. And if we fail, then we suffer what we would suffer anyways, Draco said, only this time at least we try. None of them thought to cry out to Yeshariel. They believed they had wandered too deep into shadow for him to hear them anymore. They only knew how to claw at their own chains and call it freedom. Room remembered when chains were stories instead of iron. Before the abyss, Rocky Mire had been harsh but not cruel. Sharp winds, narrow ledges, and molten threads of rock running like captured lightning through the stone. The trolls there had shaped that fire, tended the flows, carved safe paths for dragons to reach the heights. Room had been a youngling then, all elbows and stumbles. He had worked beside the older trolls, tripping over tools, bumping into carts, earning groans and laughter in equal measure. You're like a stone that doesn't know where to roll, Draco used to tease, hauling him back from the edge of some half-formed ledge. But I roll, Room would say proudly. At least I move. Dragons had visited sometimes, dropping down to inspect the stone, to test the firmness of new ledges with the weight of their claws. One young dragon in particular had released a sharp puff of smoke, a dragon's form of laughter, when Room fell flat on his back after boasting he could leap higher than the cavern lights. Careful, the dragon had warned, grinning. You'll fall through the world and come out the other side. Back then, Room had not known there were worse places than falling. Draco's memories were heavier. He had been strong from his first days in Rocky Mire. Broad-shouldered, steady, the one others called when a molten river needed redirecting or a crumbling wall had to be reinforced. He was not the cleverest, not the quickest, but he was the one who stayed. Stone needs a keeper, the elders had told him. Be that. He had taken the duty seriously. When dragons descended to test the integrity of the caverns, they trusted his word on where to land and where not to. Then Pog had come to him one cycle, eyes alight with a strange mixture of pride and unease. There's someone you should meet, Pog had said, someone who sees more in us than the dragons ever did. Draco had frowned. The dragons trust us. They use us, Pog had replied too quickly. Then softer. Just come, decide for yourself. Draco had gone because he trusted Pog. He had not known he was walking toward the edge of his old life. The fissure had been narrow, the air thick with heat and whispers. Room had followed too, chattering nervously behind them. Are we allowed here? The elders said these tunnels were unstable. They said not to. And then Drummond had risen from the depths, not in dragon shape. In his true form, massive, twisted, horned, his eyes glowing with a hungry light that saw too much. You brought them, Drummond said to Pog, voice purring with wicked approval. Good. Draco had stepped in front of Room without thinking, every protective instinct flaring. Who are you? He demanded. Your salvation, Drummond had replied. He had promised them purpose, power, a place where trolls were not overlooked as mere stonekeepers, but essential to something vast and realm-shaping. Then he had showed them what happened to those who refused him. By the time they realized what the abyss truly was, it was too late. They stayed alive for one reason. Pog had spoken their names. The memory of the ravine burned hot and jagged. Draco could still feel the impact of his claws smashing into black scales. aimed not at the king, but at the dragon who shielded him. He remembered the sickening crack of Raymond's ribs between his fists, the shout that had torn from Room's throat when Raymond refused to fall. Pog could still see Daniel's eyes widen as he slipped, could still feel the instinctive pull that let the dragon live, diverting his grip at the last moment so the king fell toward a ledge instead of the abyss. They had harmed Daniel more than they wanted to, but it had been Raymond they tried to break. And for a breath, just a breath, they had believed they had succeeded. They had watched him crash, watched the blood spill, watched his wing hang useless. Room had whispered, maybe it's done. Maybe he won't get up. But then Raymond had risen, barely, broken, bleeding, still standing between them and the king until Quinn and Cameron descended with roars that shook the ravine. Now the three trolls huddled deep in the tunnels again, far from the light, the taste of failure bitter on their tongues. He'll know, Room whispered. He'll feel it. He always does. He'll know we struck harder than he ordered. He told us to make it real, Draco muttered, though the words sounded weak even to himself. Pog leaned back against the stone, closing his eyes. He felt those blows, he said quietly, more than we were meant to give. He'll kill us, Room choked out. This time he really will. No, Draco cut in, though fear trembled beneath his calm. Not yet. He needs us. He still has plans. And when he no longer does, Pog asked. None of them had an answer. None of them thought to kneel and cry out to the one who had shaped the stone they leaned on, to the maker whose song still thrummed faintly beneath the tunnels of the abyss. They believed they had wandered too far for Yeshariel to hear, but he heard. Every tremor of their fear, every whispered hope of freedom, every desperate, misdirected strike against the chains that bound them. Room sank to the floor, pressing his hands against his ears as if he could block out his own thoughts. I don't want to hurt anyone anymore, he whispered. Not dragons, not trolls, not him. I don't even know what I want. Out, Draco said. The word came from somewhere deep, as if pulled up from the bedrock itself. I want out. Pog stared at his hands. These were made to steady stone, he murmured. Not to break kings, not to tear at someone else's flesh and call it salvation. You were the first he took, Draco said quietly. If anyone finds a way out, it will be you. Pog shook his head, bitterness twisting his mouth. I was the one who brought you here. Yes, Draco said, and you're the one who has to bring us back. Room lifted his head, eyes wide and wet. Back where, he said. Mountain Vale is closed to us. The dragons would never allow us refuge after we struck at their king. And once Raymond heals, he will walk among them again, watching, listening. As for Rocky Meyer, he swallowed hard. Rocky Meyer is chained too closely to the abyss. The dragons would never trust. Back to whatever is not this, Draco cut in. Back to a place where we answer to someone who doesn't tear us apart when we breathe wrong. The idea seemed impossible, half-formed, dangerous, but it was something. A low vibration rolled through the tunnel again, shivering the dust from the ceiling. The three trolls froze, every muscle going rigid. The tremor was not from a molten river, not from shifting stone. It was the telltale pulse of magic and weight moving down through the secret shaft, the passage between Mountain Vale and the abyss. Raymond was returning, not as Raymond, as Drummond again. Pog's throat worked. He's coming. Room pressed himself against the wall, eyes squeezed shut. Draco's hands curled into fists, not in defiance this time, but in the bridle, shaking readiness of someone who had decided, somewhere in the back of his mind, that if a chance for freedom ever came again, he would not ignore it. Above them, the dragons tended their wounded king and his supposed savior. Below, the slaves of the abyss braced for the return of the master they had failed to kill. The song seemed very far away, but deep in the stone beneath their feet, something answered their unspoken cries, a resonance too soft for them to hear yet. Yeshariel heard. The creator who shaped the realms heard every heart, every thought, and every silent cry beneath the garden's breath. All righty, and then there's the ending image for chapter 14. So, yeah, let me go back here. So, again, if you want to get in on the free drawing for, let me hold it up, because this is what you're going to be sent. This is book 4, The Song of the Remnant. It's about 785 pages, so it's a thick, heavy book. You need to email me at lovecrossgifts@yahoo.com or lovecrossgifts@gmail.com. And in the subject line, just put interbook drawing or something similar to that. And then I will do the drawing on Sunday, and I'll contact the winner and get your mailing address. I just ask that it be a U.S. address only, please. I really can't ship international at this point. So, all right. Hopefully you guys are enjoying these chapter readings. Next week we'll be ready for chapter 15 and 16, and that pretty much puts us halfway through book 1. Okay, and so again, you can click on the QR code up there in the top corner. That will take you to my author page over on Amazon. You can check out all of my books there, all of the series that are out so far, books 1 through 4. They're all over there on Amazon. Go check them out. If you're part of the KDP Select, you can, it's like a library from my understanding. You can read my books as part of that membership. So to take advantage of the free things that they have. And once I get book 5 finished and published, like around the 1st of May, then I'll be doing the free ebook download. That you just download the books. They're yours forever. Don't have to, try to read it within, a certain time frame. They're just yours forever. And of course, if you have downloaded my books during one of those promotions, please don't forget to leave the reviews on the books. Those help with the algorithms to get my books more visibility. That helps me as an author to get these books out there, because it's a Christian themed series. Okay. This is part of my ministry. This is like where God is leading me right now. I've been kind of taking a sabbatical from writing music and just focusing on getting this story all finished. So, all right, I'm going to just leave it there, guys. I might be back here in about maybe 10-15 minutes to do the next chapter in the Roman series. We'll just have to wait and see how things are going. But all right, you guys take care. God bless. Email me if you want to be entered into the drawing for the free copy of book 4. I'm going to do the drawing on Sunday, so gives you a few days to email me. So, all right, you guys take care. God bless, and we'll see you next week.